Well, I'm just getting this Saturday morning walk. I actually walked around the waterfront and then came over here to get a little bit more walking in. Um, but this morning when I was waking up, I was came across something that was a Marcus Aurelius quote, and it basically, says we don't need that much to be happy in life. Most of what we need is just in our minds. And that's so true. And Marcus Aurelius and that group of Stoic philosophers and the Greeks and Christ and many other wonderful people who have left a message for the next generations really focus on that point that, Abraham Lincoln reiterated that with a famous quote, we're about as happy as we make up our minds to be. That's not to say that outside events aren't influencing us greatly, and a lot of it comes in early in life, and somebody needs to be there to tell us that if you're not feeling right about things, just because you're young doesn't mean you're wrong, and you can start taking control of your mind, and you can read what these philosophers and people and Christianity and Stoic philosophy and even some of the Eastern philosophies and practices of meditation and prayer and mindfulness and being present in the moment and being your own person, but also being connected to everybody through this oneness through God, through the universe. That's what the message is in all of these things, really, is that we're all kind of sharing this together, not just the people, the everything. It's all part of this one big thing, and then we have this unique consciousness that makes us who we are, and our spirit, what it is. And science is still trying to figure out what consciousness is. And so, but it really looks more and more like it's sort of something that we, like almost kind of maybe analogous to like gravity. It's more of like a property that emerges from some aspect of our, in other words, our mind is connected into a consciousness, sort of like a more of like gravity, like it's a property of the universe. But anyhow, which is not exactly necessarily all the same thing as all the other processes going on in our brain. There's no reason to really worry about that too much, since we don't ever know what it is. Nobody has a really solid theory on that. Just know that your mind and your ability to take on an independent perspective. You can choose to be happy, but you also have to take care of your body. There's a lot of things influencing the mind and the brain and all of those things. So, you gotta be healthy. Think about your gut health, your social setting, your environment, things you're putting into your body, the amount of exercise you're getting, all of those things. But know that you can pursue your own happiness, your own gratefulness, your gratitude for the universe, and you don't have to do everything to appease some other person or entity or organization because they need you to make them feel good. It's a two-way street, and we have this unique independence, and through our independence we then also create the best whole. And the age that we live in today really tests that a lot, because there's all these 8+ billion people all living unique lives. I mean, you can't live you got to live your own life. And you can take lessons from other people and say, oh, that person's doing something neat, I might like to do that. But you can't envy that, because there's just too many things to do. There's people living great, happy lives that are very simple by a lot of standards, and they're completely happy and joyous and grateful for life. There's people living very adventurous lives and they're happy, but there's also the other way. There's people living very simple lives and they're not happy, and there's people living very adventurous lives and they're not happy. So it just goes to show that, what's inside of us and what we develop is a big component really of what life should be about and what happiness should be about. And there's things that will help us accomplish that, and that's kind of the growth experience of life as it is, and that we're leaving something for another generation to come behind us. So you should not be scared to try adventurous and audacious things and things that are take a lot of work, or whatever, or courage. That's not that you shouldn't do those things. It's just to know that those things by and of themselves are not really what happiness comes from. It can be part of happiness, but you need to be fulfilling this bigger picture. That's this sense of self and oneness, and your sense of self with the oneness of everything, and that you're not here to just try to appease other people, and you're also not here to make other people praise you or tell you it's both bad for us internally to think and expect other people to be there and to try and control people just to have them tell us that how important we are, how great we are. But it's also bad for that person too. So it's like we need that shared independence and respect for each individual's mind. Respect each other's mind, each other's spirit, each other's individuality. And in doing that, we end up making each other, putting each other in the best place to pursue their own happiness, because we do impact one another. We're greatly impacted mentally by the people that we're around. So you can come out here in nature, and that helps you reset things, because nature is pure, and that purity of nature does a lot. But we also have to keep doing all that work internally, and looking at the history of mankind and trying to do it as much when you're young. You got to do it throughout life, but when we're young, we're in a really unique situation, because on the one hand, we have the most ability to mold and shape our brains, but on the other hand, there's a lot of wonderful things about the youthfulness that makes us think that everything might just work out okay without putting any effort in, and that's not exactly right either. The older days, and it's still in families and generations and communities that haven't gotten too distracted by all the things that are in modern technology, especially that are there in media, that are there to distract us. They still understand that. That was a very important part of successful communities and families. When I mean successful, I mean stable and righteous and happy. I don't just mean families that were, or organizations that were trying to get wealthy or something like that. That doesn't really have that much to do with it. Everybody has their purpose. There's people who are meant to drive more for that kind of material wealth and things, and if they're good people, then that helps all of society. We don't need a million bankers or a million entrepreneurs necessarily. A million, I'm not using a specific number. What I mean is a extremely extra large number, but everybody needs to play their role. So we want everybody pursuing what they do, but doing it with a good heart and a good mind, not with bad intentions or those kinds of things, malintentions. And so Yeah, it's up here, and it's yours, your brain, and it's your neighbor's brain, and your sister and your brother's brain, and your teacher's brain, and hopefully your children's brains. You know, every one of them has a mind of its own, and let's try to not only create the best environment for the others, but also for ourselves. And that a lot of that comes from not envying or looking for, not having to be the source of energy for somebody else, and not having somebody else have to be the source of energy for us in a controlling way. I mean, obviously we should make each other feel happy and good and support one another. But it's a bit of an epidemic in the modern culture. All cultures and civilizations have written about these issues of people envying and needing one another, or trying to control one another to give them validation. That's always been around, but it's particularly exploding as a mental problem in this day and age, and it's been growing steadily for the last few decades or so at least, and becoming more and more pervasive. You don't see it as much in the problems of the developing world are typically different. It's their problems are a different set of problems, but anyhow, just be you, love life, be grateful for life, know that the higher power is all you need to really to answer to. And yeah, so also don't feel as though I say it to myself, don't feel that you're so important that every comment is directed at you. Sometimes we feel that way. Sometimes somebody will say something and they're just saying it, but we'll feel as if it touches us somehow, that as if it's really directed at us in a negative way. And that's all. A lot of that's in our minds. Sometimes it is, but most of the time it's just that's just in our minds. And so if we feel something from something, we should just stop and use that. Why did we feel emotional about that? And not think of anything negative against the person who said it, but say, what has happened in me that makes me feel sensitive to that, and then calm down about that and feel and try to, if we can use it to better ourselves, then use it to better ourselves. If it's just there and annoying us, just let it go. And you'll know when somebody's really trying to hurt you in life, and that's mostly not the case most of the time. But sometimes we'll just feel that way. So that's important too, to not have so much pride that we think that everything's directed at us. Let that pride go, and then then you can see things more clearly. There's other things other than pride. Pride. Envy is a different thing. Like, I want that. I need that to be happy. You don't let that go too. Let the pride go, let the envy go. Just live and be, there's others ones too, but they're two big ones, pride and envy. So I love you so much, and look at this. Enjoy that. I love you.